I'm Adrian, and I just want to start it off by saying ignore the background noise. It's going to be really annoying. But I'm going to be teaching you tips and tricks about learning the countries and flags of the world. Now, you might ask, why would I ever want to do this? Which is fully fair, but look at how satisfying this is. And learning flags can be just as satisfying, but it also can be a hell of a lot more difficult. Now I'm going to show you tips and tricks that I use that you can implement for yourself. The first tip that I have is just learning all the countries by region. Rather than going for all the countries at once, just start small. For example, you can learn Southeast Europe, then later move on to Northeast, rather than learning all of Europe as a whole. But the most important thing for you to do is have constant repetition. This repetition can help you memorize the countries 20 times faster. You can go on websites like Sporkle and my personal favorite, Jetpunk, and constantly redo quizzes and studying what you get wrong. Tip for learning the countries is simply 100% finish the countries before even moving on to the flags, as flags tend to be a lot more difficult than learning the countries. And also, if you learn the countries first, it makes it a lot easier to memorize all the flags. Now, for flags, you always want to find easy ways to remember something, and I'm going to show you a few examples of this, starting off with a very easy one like Botswana. Now, Botswana has most of its flag is just primarily blue. And since it started with B, I just connected Botswana with blue. That's it. That's how simple it was to remember something like Botswana. Now, another example of this could be with Comoros. Comoros, I really couldn't remember at first, but after really looking at it, it starts with C, and this moon here looks like a C. And now every time I see this flag, I can immediately connect it to the name Comoros, which these are just two extremely easy examples. But it doesn't always have to be with the first letter. For example, this is Grenada, and I just simply connected Grenada to grenade, and this symbol right here, I just pictured to myself as a grenade. And again, it was a really easy way to remember something. So these three countries, I just recognized patterns in the flag, and it made it simple to remember the actual name of the country. Sometimes it's not always as simple as those. With this example, we have Andorra and Moldova. These two are European nations, and it was really difficult to differentiate the two because of the same tricolor pattern they had with the blue, yellow, and red. But after analyzing really where they were, you can see Andorra's right here, and it's located next to Spain and France. But right now we're going to focus on Spain. But Andorra and Spain, they have similar patterns. For example, this right here, the yellow and red lines, you can see twice on the Andorra flag. Just by recognizing these patterns and where they are geographically, you can immediately differentiate the two flags of Moldova and Andorra. Now, if you want to memorize something about Moldova, this one's a little bit of a stretch, but Moldova is located here, and it's much closer to a country called Albania, which is right here. Now, Moldova and Albania both have eagles in their flag. Yes, that's an eagle. Doesn't look like it, but it's an eagle. And by these two patterns in the emblem, again, recognizing the patterns, you can immediately differentiate the two and connect it back to Andorra and Moldova, which now is so easy to see the differences. So recognizing patterns isn't always as easy as Comoros, Botswana, and Grenada, but if you really focus in, you can find pretty obvious patterns. For example, like these two. In conclusion, when learning countries, always start off small and slowly expand. Starting off large isn't going to do you any good whatsoever, and it's going to be much harder to remember. Also, repetition. Constantly doing it, you could say at least 10 minutes a day, can help you so much in the long run. And for flags, recognize patterns that are easy to remember. I gave 3 examples of really easy ones and 2 of somewhat difficult ones. But if you make up your own patterns for almost every flag, it'll be extremely easy. And again, with flags, repetition helps just as much. But that's all. I don't have to bore you anymore. So, thank you so much for listening and good luck with learning geography.